你怎么追尾了干啥？你这，你这一车货都烧掉了啊！离远点，离。
It's all covered in today's China Truths.
China's once glorious electric vehicle boom is spiraling into disaster. What was once praised as a green revolution is now plagued with chaos, fire, and fear. Across the country, electric cars burst into flames, e-scooters explode inside homes, and endless fields of unsold vehicles rot away. The world is beginning to realize that Beijing's crown jewel may be nothing more than a crumbling illusion. For years, China boasted of being the global champion of EVs. The government showered the industry with massive subsidies, pumped cheap credit into startups, and pushed cities to adopt electric mobility at all costs. Factories multiplied at breakneck speed, streets filled with shiny new sedans from BYD, NIO, XPeng, and countless lesser-known names. Propaganda outlets celebrated this as evidence of China's technological dominance. By 2023, China supplied more than half of the world's EV sales, exporting to Europe, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. On the surface, the transformation looked unstoppable, but beneath the surface, the cracks were already visible. Factories produced far more than the market could absorb, creating an ocean of oversupply. Journalists and locals began to uncover shocking car graveyards, vast open fields filled with brand-new electric vehicles abandoned under the sun. Entire lots in cities like Hangzhou, Shanghai, and Chengdu became dumping grounds for cars no one wanted. Instead of proof of progress, these scenes turned into symbols of waste and failure. At the same time, safety scandals exploded across social media. Videos of electric cars catching fire in parking garages, on highways, or even while charging spread like wildfire. Families lost homes after e-scooters ignited during the night. In Nanjing, one family's apartment was destroyed when their newly purchased scooter erupted in flames. In Guangzhou, a sedan resembling a Tesla-style model burst into fire on a crowded street, sending drivers fleeing in terror. Citizens quickly gave EVs nicknames such as rolling bombs and fire wheels. Insurance companies, overwhelmed by claims, began charging sky-high premiums or outright refusing to cover certain popular models. For ordinary buyers, the excitement of owning an EV turned into a nightmare of fear and regret. People who invested their savings in what they thought was the future now worried about whether their car would burn their home to the ground. Meanwhile, the industry itself is collapsing under pressure. Hundreds of small startups, once fueled by easy financing and local government incentives, have gone bankrupt. They vanished overnight, leaving customers stranded with no warranties or after-sales service. Larger companies are also under strain. To keep sales alive, firms slash prices again and again, triggering a destructive price war. Buyers, expecting further discounts, delay purchases. Instead of boosting demand, the industry finds itself stuck in paralysis. The economic fallout is just as severe. Workers laid off from EV plants flood already stressed labor markets. Debt levels inside the industry skyrocket, while local governments who bankrolled the expansion face financial shortfalls. Once hailed as the engine of China's new industrial future, the EV sector has become a source of instability and humiliation. State media has tried to cover up the scale of the disaster, but the internet tells another story. Viral clips of burning cars, abandoned vehicle graveyards, and desperate workers spread too quickly to suppress. Citizens openly mock the so-called green dream, seeing only failure and danger. What was meant to showcase China's technological leadership is now a global cautionary tale. The dream of clean mobility has transformed into chaos. Overproduction, bankruptcies, safety scandals, and mountains of wasted vehicles. China's electric car revolution, once its proudest boast, is in danger of burning out, literally and figuratively. This is no longer the story of progress. It is the story of collapse, and the world is watching. On the streets of China, the mood has shifted dramatically. Just a few years ago, electric vehicle showrooms were buzzing with curious buyers and excited families. Today, those same dealerships stand eerily empty. Sales staff sit idle, waiting for customers who never arrive. Owners who once felt proud of going green now complain of constant frustrations, charging stations that don't work, long lines to recharge, vehicles that lose range too quickly, or batteries that fail completely in cold weather. What was once promoted as the future of mobility is now seen as an expensive trap. The sense of betrayal runs deep, and people are starting to fight back. Across several provinces, groups of angry EV owners have staged protests in front of dealerships, demanding refunds and compensation. In some cases, burned-out cars have been parked outside showrooms like public warning signs, sending a message of anger and disillusionment. These gatherings may be small, but they reveal a growing backlash against both the corporations that cut corners and the government that pushed the hype. Local governments find themselves trapped in the fallout. For years, they poured billions into subsidies, tax breaks, and infrastructure projects, expecting EV factories to bring jobs and prosperity. Instead, many are now left with deserted industrial parks, bankrupt companies, and furious residents demanding answers. Empty car lots and unpaid workers are the reality behind the official slogans. Debt is piling up, while the promised economic miracle looks more like a costly disaster. Beijing continues to insist that EVs are the future of its green development agenda. But ordinary citizens see something very different: fires, protests, and abandoned cars. State media keeps selling the image of success, but trust is evaporating at every level. What was meant to showcase China as a global leader in clean technology now risks turning the country into a cautionary tale of reckless ambition and wasted resources. The roots of this crisis run deep. The first is overproduction. For over a decade, Beijing used subsidies to push output at all costs. Local governments competed to lure manufacturers with free land and cheap loans. Companies quickly learned that producing more cars meant receiving more subsidies, whether or not anyone wanted to buy them. By 2022, China had over 400 registered EV companies, far beyond what the market could ever sustain. This reckless expansion created the infamous EV graveyards, vast fields filled with unsold cars left to decay in the open. Instead of fueling innovation, subsidies fueled waste and instability. The second is safety. In their desperate race to outproduce rivals, companies slashed corners on quality. The most critical component, the battery, was often rushed through assembly lines with minimal testing. Poor cooling systems, cheap materials, and weak regulation created a recipe for disaster. Fires became unavoidable. Cars erupted in flames in garages, parking lots, and highways. Scooters exploded inside homes, killing residents and terrifying entire neighborhoods. Investigations revealed defective wiring, unreliable batteries, and poor safety standards. For many consumers, EVs no longer represented innovation, but rather danger on wheels. The third and most devastating blow has been the collapse of public trust. Consumers initially embraced EVs thanks to government subsidies, cheap pricing, and heavy propaganda. But as reports of fraud spread, companies exaggerating driving range, faking safety data, or disappearing after bankruptcy, confidence crumbled. Insurance companies fueled the panic, raising premiums or refusing coverage altogether. Viral videos of burning cars spread faster than censors could delete them, embedding phrases like rolling bombs into the public vocabulary. Buyers who once lined up to go electric now delay purchases, fearing fires, falling prices, or sudden bankruptcies. The human cost is immense. Behind every abandoned car lot are workers stripped of their livelihoods. Entire factories shut down overnight, leaving employees without wages or severance. Migrant workers who left villages for better futures now return home penniless. In cities like Shenzhen, Nanjing, and Changsha, unemployment is rising as EV companies collapse. Families that depended on factory wages are suddenly unable to pay rent or send children to school. Some are forced back into poverty, selling possessions or returning to subsistence farming. Taken together, these forces, reckless overproduction, dangerous shortcuts, and collapsing trust, have transformed China's so-called EV miracle into a full-blown nightmare. Each abandoned car symbolizes wasted resources. Each fire represents danger. Each bankruptcy is another broken promise. The crisis is not just financial. It is social, political, and human. Unless Beijing reins in subsidies, enforces strict safety standards, and finds a way to restore consumer trust, the industry risks not just decline, but outright collapse. What was once China's proudest industrial achievement is now spiraling into chaos, leaving behind a trail of abandoned cars, betrayed workers, and frightened citizens. For ordinary buyers, the dream has collapsed into a nightmare. Families who bought EVs on credit are stuck with unsafe cars that can't be resold. The second-hand market has collapsed, insurance costs have skyrocketed, and in some cities owners can't get coverage at all. What was once a symbol of progress is now a financial trap. Fear spreads just as fast as debt. Fires in parking lots and apartments have pushed neighborhoods to ban indoor charging, and some communities forbid EV parking altogether. What began as excitement has turned into anxiety, families wondering if their car could ignite next to their home. Each fire, each protest, each empty showroom chips away at the government's credibility. People were told EVs represented safety, prosperity, and global leadership. Instead, they see betrayal and decay. Underneath censorship, anger is spreading online. Workers demand unpaid wages, citizens demand answers, and fear seeps into daily life. This crisis is no longer just about cars. It is about broken promises and fading trust. If Beijing refuses to face the truth, the EV nightmare could ignite something much larger. China's electric dream has gone up in smoke. Factories stand silent, buyers feel abandoned, and a nation once promised progress now stares at failure. The question is, will China fix the fire or be consumed by it?
Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We will keep reporting on the COVID surge in China, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to get the latest videos. And thank you for tuning in.